Thanks so much for joining us. It's 10 o'clock Eastern. I'm Ana Cabrera reporting from New York. And this morning, even as we wait for Donald Trump to surrender, we already know when Georgia prosecutors want him in court for trial. Let's start with the surrender. The former president and his 18 allies have until August 25th to show up at Atlanta's Rice Street Jail a week from tomorrow. That, as we learned, Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis is eyeing a quick timeline, an early September arraignment followed by a March trial. Also today, new concerns about the safety of those involved in prosecuting the former president after security threats in two separate cases, including a death threat against a federal judge. NBC's Garrett Hake joins us now from the Fulton County Courthouse. Also with us, Hannah Moldavan, a former spokesperson for the House Select January 6th Committee, and Michael Zeldin, former federal prosecutor. Thank you all for joining us. Garrett, what more are we learning about the potential timeline here?
Well, Anna, this filing from the Fulton County DA's office yesterday lays out a very ambitious timeline that has an arraignment the week of September 5th, basically right after Labor Day, and a trial starting March 4th. If you overlay that with the political calendar, you'll see that's the day before Super Tuesday, one of the biggest days on the primary calendar every year. So a politically very problematic timeline for the former president, and one that his team is almost certain to fight. And for folks who've been watching all these cases play out over the last couple of months, remember that here in Fulton County, the process is a little different than what we've seen in the past. The surrender is still expected to be by the end of next week. That's separate from the arraignment. So there is a gap between the two, and it's not clear that Donald Trump would have to show up for that September arraignment if he does show up in person for the surrender. But again, this is the proposal from the Fulton County DA's office, which doesn't take into account the Trump team's response, which, if we know anything about how they've approached all of these cases over the last several months, will be to aggressively push for delay. Anna?
Michael, does a March 4th trial date sound reasonable to you?
Well, it does, in the sense that unless you're going to push these cases all off until after the election, you have just these small windows within which to operate. You've got an October case with hush money in late March. You've got May trial. You've got July trial. So when do you put this stuff all in? So she has to look for windows within which to put it, and this is the best really opportunity for her to try to get her case in. Otherwise, it goes to after the election, which is what Trump wants, but which no prosecutor would tolerate.
But keep us honest, because there are a lot of things that could delay this trial, right? Especially when you have 19 total co-defendants.
Absolutely. But I don't think by the time you get near a trial date, you'll have 19 people left. I think because of the RICO charges and the mandatory minimum jail sentences that attend to that, you're going to have a lot of these second-tier people trying to negotiate pleas for something other than RICO, so they don't have the mandatory 5 years in prison. And if they have some evidence to give relevant to the prosecutor's case in chief, then they'll try to strike a deal. So I don't expect that when this case goes to trial, you'll have more than 6 or 7 people left. But that's just a guess.
So, Hannah, the House Select Committee gave information from their investigation to Georgia, and this is clearly a much more sprawling case compared to what we've seen from Jack Smith's indictments. 19 people indicted here. Any surprises?
I don't think so, Anna. I think we do see a very sweeping look at the 2020 stolen election case in Georgia, which is not surprising if you read the January 6th committee's report. In the acts that Fani Willis talks about in her indictment, you see different states mentioned. And I think when you read it, and when you read the January 6th committee report, you see this as well, almost on a daily basis, how Trump was interfering in the election in Georgia, and also in other states, Michigan, Pennsylvania. This was something he was doing on a daily basis, and something he was doing with those individuals you see on that list around him that were his accomplices in this. You know, one thing I want to say about this Georgia case in terms of the timeline as well is something that's different is that cameras are in the courtroom for this. We saw the impact of presenting evidence to the American people and having not just a jury look at this evidence, but also the American public, which I think is really important for our democracy and for the presidential election as we come up on 2024.
And Michael, this jail is infamous in the area for the dilapidated conditions. The Georgia ACLU says there's a high rate of inmate deaths, people waiting extremely long times behind bars, and grime covering nearly every inch of the building. The New York Times, in fact, even documented one story where a detainee who was only in jail for a misdemeanor was found dead in his cell, covered in bites from bed bugs, according to the inmate's lawyer. And you can see here just how rough some of the conditions are or were for him. Do you think these conditions may be a wake-up call to some of Trump's co-defendants? Might they start thinking about flipping?
Well, it should be a wake-up call to the authorities in Georgia to fix this. I've been in that jail. I've represented people who are in that jail, and it's horrible. And that's what the wake-up call should be, Anna. But for sure, in addition, anyone who sees those pictures that you just put up that faces time in that jail should be very interested in working out a disposition that doesn't send them there at all, or if at all, for a very short period of time. It's a terrible place to be. Prison is a terrible place to be, whether it's one day or not. It's just a terrible place to be.
Garrett, we're also learning some Trump supporters posted the names and addresses of the Georgia grand jurors online. One post even said, quote, "These jurors have signed their death warrant by falsely indicting President Trump," end quote. What more do we know about how this happened and what's being done to protect these jurors?
Yeah, Anna, it's disturbing, and this is due to a quirk in the Georgia law that when these indictments are filed, the names of the grand jurors are made public. They're available on the documents that could be accessed by anybody, just the same way reporters access them. And in this case, the names, and in some cases associated addresses, have started to pop up on some pro-Trump forums and websites. Some good government groups have flagged this. But right now, the sheriff's office isn't commenting on this. It's not clear what steps, if any, are being taken to protect these grand jurors and sort of how serious any of these threats are at this moment. But it just speaks to the broader environment here where you have judges, attorneys, prosecutors, and now grand jurors getting caught up in personal attacks for their roles in the justice system's efforts to investigate the former president.
Let's talk about the threat to a judge. Michael, we're learning a Texas woman has been arrested, accused of threatening to kill Judge Tanya Chutkan, the judge in Trump's federal election interference case. And according to the arrest affidavit, this woman, Abigail Jo Shirlf, said in a message, quote, "If Trump doesn't get elected in 2024, we are coming to kill you. So tread lightly." Michael, how concerned are you about the potential for violence in the months ahead as we get closer to trial?
Very concerned. I think that if you just look at what happened to Fani Willis in the Shea woman, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting her name, the threats that she
Ruby
received.
Shea and Ruby, yeah.
Yes,
the election
exactly.
workers.
Sorry. Yes, and the testimony that they offered about how it ruined their lives. So you have threats that are physical threats of, physical injury, and then you have these verbal threats which ruin your lives. And I think that all of the people involved in this case on the anti-Trump side of it have to be concerned about this. And I think law enforcement really has to step up its game to make sure that these online threats and these actual in-person threats are addressed immediately and with the full weight of law, because it's just not tolerable that people who are serving the government as they ordinarily should, as witnesses or jurors or prosecutors, should have to withstand these sort of abuses. It's just a terrible situation, Anna, that the police really have to get on top of immediately.
And Hannah, the January 6th committee investigated how words can mobilize people, in that case, to attack the Capitol. Your reaction to these security incidents?
Trump commands his supporters through his words and his actions. Through his posts on Truth Social over the past week, it's very clear how he feels about how wrongly he is being treated in this case. The January 6th committee had a man named Stephen Ayers come and testify to one of our hearings, where he said that they went home on January 6th because Trump told them to, and that if he had told them to go home at 1:30, his followers would have gone home then as well. I think these words against the judge are eerily similar to the chance of hanging Mike Pence on January 6th. These are violent actions. We know that Trump's followers follow him, will do what he says, and through his words or his lack of words condemning it, it's very clear what his intentions are. January 6th was one instance where a lot of different people came together for a specific purpose. I think it's going to be interesting to see the difference in political violence over the course of the next year. But we need to take this seriously, and the leader, Donald Trump, should condemn this. I don't think he will.
Well, we hope there is no political violence. I think that is the fear, certainly, with these escalating threats. Hannah Moldavan, Michael Zeldin, and Garrett Haake, thank you all for joining us.